phrase used while texting to demonstrate intense laughter, though the literal ass stays intact. In conclusion, please delete this text exchange and refrain from speaking to the authorities. Best regards, Tyler Robinson, aka the bad guy shooter.
The bad guy shooter. Can I? There we go. Stan Nazi, yeah. Man, they took down my YouTube and I had to restart the YouTube stream. Jerks. Thanks a lot for nothing, man. Yeah, Trump said he's authorized, if I already covered this, full force on Antifa or whatever. Fucking bullshit. Who's sending me messages? Anyways, yeah, they're also going into Memphis. Trump has announced he will deploy the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee.
Listen up, soldier. You're going to Memphis. Recon confirms Osama bin Laden has occupied the Bass Pro Pyramid and converted it into a full-spectrum propaganda tower. He's flooding the airwaves with concentrated NPC slop, sexually exploitative cognitive intrusion, cancer burgers, all of it, calibrated to keep the masses retarded. Your objective, reach the site, terminate the broadcast, and prevent the psychological collapse of the homeland.
Is this what they're getting? National Guard isn't ready for call fresh off of 5 hours. I don't know what's going on in this country, man. Another one, I guess. Is this one woke? This one's woke. Hello, Instagram. Can you work? Nothing? Alright, cool.
Listen up, soldier. You're going to Memphis.
I think I broke Instagram. Fuck. It's broken permanently. We'll never recover from this one, guys. Alright, there it is. Sorry. Made the pilgrimage to Zoran's Islamic Socialist Republic of New York. Looks nice. Based actually. We will have a dean for the NYC. Yeah. What's this? Carson's doing a right-wing version of Bernie Sanders. This is a Netanyahu problem. Well, hold on. What do you say?
This is a fact. I'm not guessing about this because I talked to people he said it to. Is running. He's running. This is a fact. I'm not guessing about this because I talked to people he said it to. Is running around the Middle East, his region, and his own country, and telling people point blank, just stating it. I control the United States. I control Donald Trump. He's saying that, and I dare them to say that's not true. Bibi, not the nation of Israel, not Israelis, and certainly not Jews, whatever that means. The leader, the secular prime minister of a country, is doing immense harm to Donald Trump's presidency, to the United States, and to the world. This is an unbalanced person whose only real concern is for himself.
What the fuck is this shit, dude? The fuck?
In an extensive way in American politics. He's loathed by the entire world. He needs the United States, and yet at the same time, he has this patronizing attitude toward Donald Trump, demeaning Trump to people Trump knows, separating from Bibi immediately, I think is
Tucker, I'm just asking questions.
Next move. But objectively, that is absolutely necessary, and very soon, because he is hurting his own country, our country, and the world. Period. Bibi's running around. This is a fact. Objectively, that is absolutely necessary, and very soon, because he is hurting his own country, our country, and the world. Period.
Imagine what Bibi said about Joe. Yeah. Yeah, to Caitlin's point here, Caitlin Johnstone, yeah, very much Bernie Sanders. This is a Netanyahu problem, not an Israel problem shtick, in order to protect public opinion of the support of U.S. support of Israel. He goes out of his way here to clarify that it's just Netanyahu, not Israel or Israelis. That is false. That is forever a false assumption, right? It is not just the Netanyahu problem. These problems have existed since before Netanyahu was even close to being in office. Tucker is anti-Semitic as a default, though. Yes, exactly. And that's the other thing. I think this statement here makes me believe that, you know, like the hammer has come down on him, and, you know, said, "Hey, shut the fuck up about Israel, or else." You see what we did to Charlie? That's exactly what this seems like to me. I can only state that you know, that's what I'm seeing here as a pattern. But yeah, for him to change course and like be like, Tucker comes from old money. He doesn't, and that's the other thing. He's the heir to the Swanson fortune, right? Yeah. Well, his dad married into it. Like, he doesn't need to be doing any of this. He doesn't need to have a podcast. He never needed to be on Fox News, man. He's a millionaire multiple times over. Hungry Man Dinner, yeah, he's an heir to the Swanson fortune, yes. His mother is like the heiress, Tucker Carlson's mother, stepmom, sorry. Yeah, Patricia Caroline Swanson, and he wanted to be in the CIA also. Swanson married Tucker Carlson's father in 1979. So yeah, filthy rich. They are all filthy rich. Yeah, there's no reason for him to be doing any of this, other than he just likes to be doing it. He likes to be, you know, going around Dick Carlson. Yes, his dad's name is Dick. Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yeah, I got some more BB stuff. Hold on, what else did he say? Yeah, he did the speech. Netanyahu UN speech blasted into Gaza by loudspeakers on a truck.
The big Passover matzahs. Anti-Semitic. President Trump's administration is forcing.
He didn't even do the 1738, man.
Praising your decision. You didn't do something right. You did something. The big Passover matzahs. Anti-Semitic. President Trump's administration.
Why you bring the JBL speakers if you're not gonna do that, man? Hey, what's up? Hello. Yeah, he blasted this shit into Gaza from outside of Gaza and inside of some populated areas. I saw one report where like they interviewed one of the IDF kids that went in there and had to set it up for a populated like city area. He said it was extremely dangerous. It was a waste of time. We know Gazans can dance. It's true. And then you know, it's just a bunch of fucking propaganda is all and also his speech was in English and in Hebrew. Like, what? Anyway, here's an interview I wanted to see. I haven't watched it yet.
You are getting more and more isolated, not just here, but across the board. So you've got, you know, international sporting events cancelling Israel, the Eurovision Song Contest possibly cancelling Israel. You've got your best friends in Europe recognising the state of Palestine, and perhaps most importantly, your best friend in the world, Donald Trump, saying about any plans to annex the West Bank, it's not going to happen. And I wonder whether you regret especially the attack on Qatar the other day to take out the Hamas office there, because the Americans were very upset.
Israel has never had a friend like Donald Trump in the White House, the US president.
But he's
We're
also
very
said
grateful
very
of
clearly
that.
you cannot annex the West Bank, and we know that plan, you know, was being discussed in the Israeli cabinet. So he set down a red line. Are you prepared to cross that red line?
Obama finally
The
said
now
something
Prime
too?
Minister has said very, very clearly that this is a subject will be discussed in Israel after our return from the US. So I haven't got anything further to say on that point, but I will tell you that these areas we're talking about, their names are Judea. Judea and Samaria.
Not to the
Judea,
Palestinians who live there.
Judea.
They call it something
yes,
else.
but of course our history goes back 3,000 years, which is before the Palestinians.
That's their home. They live there. These are their communities.
I'm not denying that. Of course they live
Oh,
there.
yeah.
No
Well,
one
I'm
is,
a
no
fucking
one is
dinosaur.
denying that.
My history
but I'm also
goes back
saying that
bajillions of
Jews
years.
come from Judea. These are ancient
What
Jewish
do you do about
homelands.
that?
This is where Abraham,
Brother lives in a false
Isaac,
reality,
and
yeah.
Jacob, the forefathers of our nation, are buried. They're very important to this
Can
country.
we talk less
and
about
they
the Old
always
Testament
will.
and
I'm
more
just
about
gonna
the
let you
reality?
know,
So
bodies
then-
don't last forever. And like once it gets buried in the ground, is maybe like bones don't last forever, right? Who are Goliath's people again?
Israeli settlers go in and attack
good question.
Palestinian communities in order to intimidate people to get out or just kill a few of them. Do you approve of that?
Look, lawlessness is never to be approved by a democratic country. Of
Lawlessness.
course, it's
Where's your
not.
accent
Where there is
from?
wrongdoing,
Doesn't
sound very
where there
Israeli
is
to me.
wrongdoing, of course, our police and our security forces stand up to it. But I will say to you this very, very clearly. It's important to understand that these incidents pale into insignificance in terms of the number and also the scale when it comes to the terrorism which Israeli people living in those areas face day in, day out. They pale into insignificance.
And what
they are a
pale-
minority, which unfortunately international media loves to speak of.
And that number pales into insignificance compared to the 65,000 dead in Gaza, many of them women and children, the wholesale destruction of the Gaza Strip, which has now been rendered into an unviable, economic or social unit. I mean,
Yeah, it's almost like
what
it's
is
done
the
on
policy
purpose.
there? Is it ethnic cleansing? Is it genocide? What is it?
So, Matt, I'm a little bit surprised that you, an experienced journalist, a grandee of
course,
British
he doesn't
journalism,
answer the question.
quoting to me the figures of a terrorist organisation. You wouldn't take
How dare you
Al-Qaeda's
insult
name
me
for
with
example.
Hamas
This is the
now?
Palestinian Authority
Yes,
who
you
are
wouldn't
reporting
take-
these numbers. These numbers
you wouldn't
have not
take
been disputed by the
Al-Qaeda, of
international
course.
community.
No, well,
and all you have to see is the
These
level
figures
of
are
destruction.
false. They are Hamas figures.
Well, why
the
don't
Hamas,
you let us
the
say that?
Hamas,
So
I
why
didn't even know who was going to say that.
you let us go in and report
hundreds
ourselves?
of journalists
You
have
won't let
been
us in.
Hundreds of international journalists have been into Israel.
With the
Hundreds.
IDF on very
Yes,
controlled
and that's
They're so
right.
fucking
because we don't want you to
predictable,
get
man.
killed.
Oh, well,
Yes,
that's
Like
by
you're
you.
a
We don't
meme
want you
at
to
this
get
point. You're just extremely
How many
predictable.
hostages, Israeli hostages, have been killed inadvertently by Israeli bombardments?
So that's a.
You have a number there.
That's a tragic. That's when that has
Send me
happened
messages.
in friendly fire incidents. That has
you
been
did.
a tragic occurrence.
How often?
But please don't blame the victim, the
Yeah,
hostages
BB is
themselves.
Hamas.
It's not Israel that took them hostage. Hamas took them
I'm
hostage.
just-
Hamas keep them hostage.
I know,
Matt, this is
I know,
very
I
important
know.
because you're
We-
putting
we
pressure.
know that,
You're
but
putting
I'm just
pressure on
wondering-
Israel. Hamas took them hostage.
Yeah.
Hamas keep them hostage.
Yeah.
Hamas could let
Everybody
them
is
go.
Hamas.
They choose not to let them go.
Hamas.
If the pressure which you guys put on Israel was put on Hamas, they would have been released
You could also
many months
also
ago.
choose not to exert collective punishment on the Gaza Strip by bombing, apartment blocks.
That's incorrect.
Parts of cities.
That's incorrect.
But that's what you
The
do.
opposite. The opposite is true.
It's not.
All of the not Channel 4 experts, all
What
of
a
the independent
debater.
experts,
It's the opposite,
the
actually.
world-renowned experts like John Spencer from West Point in the US, here in the US, they all say the same thing. No other country has done more
Right.
to avoid civilian
So how
casualties
come-
than this country.
Also,
This
no other country has killed more civilians than you guys.
was a war which Hamas designed. They wanted to
I mean, especially like at this ratio.
sacrifice their own people. That's why they hide under mosques. That's why they hide within schools. That's why they're willing to sacrifice their own people.
I mean, this body here, the United Nations,
They're willing to sacrifice their own people to the bombs that you're dropping directly onto their people. That's over 680,000 civilians in over a year. That's
and hundreds
Seems like a
of
pretty good estimate to me.
legal experts have come to the conclusion that what you're doing in the Gaza Strip is an act of genocide. This is the country that was itself, people were subject to the worst genocide, or one of the worst acts of genocide ever committed in the history of humankind. Now that you're being accused of the same thing in the Gaza Strip, what is your reaction to that? Does it make you feel shame? Does it make you reflect on what's been
what
going on?
shame!
Or do you just think, well, the international community is lying?
Matt, I'll tell you how I feel as a representative and a spokesman of Israel's government. I feel pride.
pride.
I feel honor.
Pride in genocide.
I feel honor that I get to represent the homeland, the only homeland of the Jewish people on this earth. There are more than 50 Islamic states. There are countless Christian
like,
states.
actually, I'm
There is
proud of
only
what
one
we're doing.
place in the world where a Jew can go, and wherever they're facing persecution, they can
It's
come
fucking
home to Israel.
insane, man.
And on the charge,
What the fuck? Yeah.
it is a false claim.
Yeah.
It is completely unfounded. You throw at me 100 experts, I can throw at you another 300 experts that say precisely the opposite. And we are very clear what's happening here. Palestinians saw how Israel was created. They saw it was created in the aftermath of the Holocaust. They're trying to recreate that.
Except his
that
bars
narrative.
are all
It is a
fucking made up.
false narrative.
You are getting more and more isolated, not just here, but
Oh
across
my
the board.
god. What's your favorite sin, man? Said pride with no hesitation. Exactly. Insane. Actually insane. Can I have more Hasbara propaganda, please? Ryan Grimm asked how Israel can shore up support in the U.S. Netanyahu says the most important purchase that's going on right now is TikTok, and I hope it goes through because it's going to be consequent, motherfuckers. All right. Is it propaganda at this point or just open face? I don't. I guess that's the way Hasbara works, right? I gotta crank this shit up all the way, I think.
So something I would like to raise, which was actually my first published paper, was how you and the Likud party are cut from the same ideological cloth as Trump and the GOP in America. And so specifically with Charlie Kirk's assassination, who was a big mentor of mine, who's my first mentor in the space, evangelicals, from all my research, evagelicals are the reason that Israel has been supported in the public sphere outside of just Jews. So with Charlie's assassination and with the kind of trajectory that we see with like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, I guess I'm curious about what's another game plan if we lose evangelical support for the state of Israel. What's our backup plan to be strong, like outside of the diaspora?
Christian influencers. Okay. You said you talked about the woke right, and you said I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant. The woke right, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane, but they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States.
Tic-tac-toe, winner energy. He got more laughs here than when he said that the UN doesn't like Israel as a joke. Even though everybody knows that he's serious. That's what he thinks, right? Anyways, I'm sorry. I was being dramatic here. I need to listen to this again. So hold on. He said Christian influencers, okay. He said we talked about the woke right. I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. Who said that's a brilliant observation?
That's a brilliant.
He said it himself.
Woke right, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left.
Allow me to toot my own horn.
I mean, they're insane. They're crazy. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs.
Obama give Obama a medal.
Money of governments. Bastard. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance.
No, I know who their influencers are, yes.
Very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay? And you can't fight with cavalry.
You can't fight today with swords, says the guy that's bombing the shit out of a fucking country. Aaron Parmas.
That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is class TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good.
Eggs.
And, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him.
What?
Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight. Okay?
Hold on, what do you say here?
And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is class TikTok. TikTok, number one.
Hold on, did somebody
And I
guess
hope it
something
goes
else?
through TikTok. Class
Shop? Class? Did they say class? Shop?
TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight.
Elon is a friend. You should talk to him.
Okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
And he's also on a list. Yeah, I saw that. I saw he's on a list. Where was he that specific day? Yeah. So the guy that has a large hand in Oracle in the purchase of TikTok is also heavily favors Israel himself. He's on video, talking about that topic. Yeah, symbolism over substance, though. Let's see. Let me see what the listening post has today.
Western governments, Israel's longtime allies among them, are starting to sing a different tune.
Ooh.
But what is the point of finally recognizing Palestine as a state if they are still supplying the Israelis with the weapons, the means to carry out its genocide?
That's a good question.
An important story going largely untold. Sudan and the challenges of reporting from a country 3 years into its civil war. Plus, AI making its presence felt on modern warfare, and the sales pitch that companies like Palantir are using to market their technology.
I hate it here. They're gonna kill us all.
We're roughly 10 days out from the second anniversary of the October 7th attacks of 2023. Almost 2 years into a genocidal Israeli response that now has Palestinians starving in Gaza. And some Western leaders have chosen this moment to do something they had long...
I think Carney reiterated he hopes for a Zionist Palestine after recognizing it as a state. Goofy ass, yeah.
Recognizing Palestinian statehood, as if that's what those Palestinians are hungering for right now.
Carney's like, I believe in a one-state solution. That one state, Israel.
The UK, Canada, Australia, and France all issued their declarations, omitting the part about how they have been empowering Israel, supplying it with weapons and providing it with diplomatic cover. But those governments could no longer ignore the public outrage over this genocide and had to do something, even if it was performative. And there's still no end in sight to the weapons getting shipped from those states to Israel, and not much in the way of accountability for the blood.
So I made a post on Threads, obviously. I do that often. Talking about, let's go over here. Hold on for a second. talk about this: the military ships, right? Military ships from Spain and Italy were never allies or escorts for the flotilla, even though people are still saying that today, right? That was a deceptive story. They were always going to be there to fulfill Israel's demands directly when the time comes. Italy is now asking aid to be handed over at Cyprus, while Spain has already stated that they are on standby in case of rescues are necessary. Meaning that if rescues are necessary, they're just going to watch Israel bomb the shit out of these ships and then rescue whoever's left or whoever jumps into the water, right? They aren't going to fire on Israel's military. They are there for a front row seat when Israel inevitably bombs the flotilla with lethal ammunition. Now, this is my best guess because of what they're saying. The fucking Hasbara bots, man. Like, I came in here and I blocked a bunch of them. But they're fucking annoying as shit, dude. This is a crap fake post. Italy and Spain are sending ships to, but they were there were some that I blocked that were just saying like straight anti-Semitic shit. And I think they're saying anti-Semitic stuff just to see if I leave it up. That way that they can like show that my post is being anti-Semitic itself, and then therefore I am anti-Semitic myself. I heard some people left the flotilla because of worry for safety. I'm not surprised. But to me, those naval ships going alongside the flotilla are not there for protection. It's all performative. It's all just there to show that they're, oh, look at us, you know, we're satisfying the demands of our citizens, and you know, don't worry, citizen, after 2 years of watching people blown to little pieces of meat, you know, we're gonna finally do something. We're gonna send one ship, and it's gonna be there for when Israel inevitably blows up every other ship, and then we can save everybody. Yeah, but it's military. They're not going to go out there to fire on Israel's military. They're not going to go out there to take down drones. They're not going to shoot down drones. They're not going to shoot down F-35s. They're not going to do any of that shit. They're just going to sit there and watch Israel blow up the ships or hijack the ships, one of the two, and then be like, oh, well, we were there to save them. And these boats that like Spain sent, these are the same boats that they send out. I'm sorry, the ship that they sent out is the same type of stuff that they do whenever like immigrants are coming from like the African continent across the Mediterranean to Spain, and their shit capsizes because they're on some buoy that's not meant to be an actual boat. Like they're just out there to do that. That's all they're there to do. That's all they're there to do. They're not going to do anything else. They're not going to fight. They're not going to shoot down any drones. They're not going to do anything else. It's all fucking performative, and it fucking pisses me off, man. Because you know, on one side you have people that are pro-Israel that are like, yes, you know, of course, yes, the ships are going out there, or they're mad that the ships are going out there, and they're calling the Hamas ships, right? Because they're already calling the flotilla the Hamas flotilla or whatever. And then you have like people that are like pro-Palestine that are like, well, you shouldn't be saying that because you don't know what's gonna happen. And like, you know, like I'm sure these, like, you know, I have good faith in Italy and Spain. Look at Italy and Spain finally setting a precedent. Meanwhile, both fucking governments are fucking leaning further to the right as we speak. Like, fuck off, man.
Those same governments have on their hands. And that's what's missing in much of the coverage that's been coming out of the Western media on these developments. Boil it down, and what they're talking about is diplomacy, when the real story has been and remains one of complicity.
Exactly. Sheer complicity.
If you were a
for
Palestinian
2 years.
in Gaza, desperately trying to survive in a dystopian hellscape, one made in Israel.
The United Kingdom formally recognizes the state of Palestine.
Kid starver.
What would you make of Western leaders responding to a genocide almost 2 years in with mere acts of diplomacy?
Canada recognizes the state of Palestine.
States that have not only tolerated that genocide, have helped arm the perpetrators.
The Commonwealth of Australia recognises the state of Palestine.
Declaring through statements that reek of Western self-importance that they now recognize a Palestinian state.
Je déclare que la France reconnaît aujourd'hui l'État de Palestine.
a land the Israelis have made unrecognizable.
A declaration is just a declaration until those same states take concrete actions
Corbyn is
to
back
end
with
the
his
occupation
with his
and most
party
urgently
now?
to end the genocide.
With his own
You can
party?
recognize whatever you want, but it doesn't mean anything until you take concrete steps
Exactly.
to follow up on it.
It
These
doesn't mean
countries
shit.
are
Words don't mean shit
self-aggrandizing
here.
themselves, feeling good about themselves, like they have done something bold, something courageous.
If anything, it's delaying
but
the
this symbolic
process.
gesture is, in fact, not what the moment
It's
requires, which is
satiation.
ending the
That's
genocide.
all it is.
The key word there is symbolic. Recognizing Palestinian statehood comes with no legal obligations for the countries involved, no disruption in their trading relationship with Israel, no ending of their arms sales to the Zionist war machine. Countries like Canada, whose government announced long ago that it would no longer send weapons to Israel, as though it was taking a principled stand.
We will not have any form of arms or parts of arms be sent to Gaza.
Please clap.
Instead, it just laundered parts for those weapons through the U.S., an act of deception dressed up as morality.
Canada announced approximately a year ago that it was halting the approval of new weapon sales to Israel, saying, look what we're doing, we're actually making substantive strides. But a significant amount of the weapons manufactured in Canada that winds up in Israel is assembled in the United States. So that is what is now being attacked, is this American-Canadian armament supply chain.
All of these countries, they
what did you send me over here? Where are my threads? Oh, I need to go back to threads. Hold on. Threads.net. Of course, we'll put more blood on the U.S. hands. I mean, I guess their hands are not full enough. I don't know, man. Yeah, oh, this. Here it goes. Oi, give me that. What is this? Okay. Copy link. Go here.
Mr. Trump, President Trump, this is a cry out, a plea from Canada. Please stop the slaughter of almost 400 healthy ostriches that are going to suffer today or tomorrow. We need a miracle. The world has been calling on a miracle. This is of interest, as you know, I know you know. Yeah, you would say hello. They are claiming that these animals are virulent and that have a virus and that they're sick, but instead these ostriches hold the key to humanity with their antibodies that can help with therapeutics and new innovative science that can actually make us less reliant on vaccinations and pills. This is for our children. This is for our grandchildren.
They talked about this on the leftist mafia. I don't understand what's happening.
This is for freedom. This is for hope. All of our animals have names. Our oldest is 35. And Carney, Mark Carney, nobody will listen. All of our politicians have just turned a blind eye.
They're gonna kill the birds because of the bird flu or what?
Blind eye. Please help us. President Trump, please help us in Canada.
Bird
The world needs you right now. We need leadership. We admire your leadership and we are calling on you. Please, please help us.
Please
At
save
Universal
us,
Ostrich
President
Farms
Trump.
in Edgewood, British Columbia, we are asking for a miracle. Thank you from Katie Pasitny. Mr. Trump.
I don't
Trump,
think
this
that's
is
the
a
right
cry
guy you
out.
should be
A
reaching
plea.
out to, honestly, for anything. Conservatives, I guess, latch on to this and tug at the heartstrings. This is what happens when communists run your country. They kill the birds. They're gonna kill all the birds. Canada needs a revolution, an ostrich revolution. Did they not see how the emu wars went for Australia? Australia lost. That's why we need to eliminate these giant birds. Because we can't have Australia versus in the emu wars part 2, and got the anti-vax community looped into it. The birds are actually what's her name from The Last of Us. They have the antibodies in their body, and we need them. I'm sorry, back here.
Train with Israeli troops. They sell weapons. They buy weapons from Israel. They haven't severed these relationships because they're still very profitable. There is no incentive on the Western world's part to sever those ties, even if Palestine is currently being subjected to a genocide.
The UK continues to trade and send parts of military equipment to Israel. Australia continues to have military equipment that goes to Israel. So this is utter hypocrisy, because you cannot say that you care about Palestinian self-determination and then continue to arm the very country that is destroying the supposed states that you're recognizing.
Let's keep in mind that I've not heard virtually any Western leader use the G word when it comes to Israel and
also
Palestine. True. Genocide is the crime of crimes. You say genocide. That compels you to bring genocide to an end as rapidly as possible. And that's why they've been reluctant to want to get there.
Setting aside the hypocrisy for the moment and focusing on the timing, what took those governments so long to act, even symbolically? And why now? 1 year ago, the UN set a deadline, giving the Israelis 12 months to evacuate all settlers from the occupied Palestinian territories. Israel has done the opposite, expanding its settlements, including on the West Bank and East Jerusalem, stealing more Palestinian land, taking more lives. That deadline has passed at a time when Israel is ethnically cleansing Gaza openly, starving Palestinians, while the global resistance perseveres. Movements that span oceans, linking cities like London, Berlin, New York, and Sydney. Italians have taken it a step further through a general strike over the genocide this week involving 500,000 people that affected tens of millions more. The next day, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, a hardcore supporter of Israel, caved. She announced Italy will also recognize Palestinian statehood if certain conditions are met. Politicians tend to be opportunistic. Their careers can depend on it. Yeah. Leaders like Emmanuel Macron, who see persistent unrest on the French streets and are now growing more blunt about Israel to its face.
You are completely destroying the image and the credibility of Israel, not just in the region, but in public opinion everywhere.
Yeah.
Macron chose to deliver that message through an Israeli news channel, and he had his reasons.
The Israeli media has been an active participant in this genocide. They have deliberately not shown regular Israelis what their military is doing to Palestinians in Gaza. Israelis have simply not been exposed to that, because the Israeli media has not been showing that to them. Instead, they've decided to elevate voices that, because they're doing to Palestinians in Gaza, Israelis have simply not been exposed to that, because the Israeli media has not been showing that to them. Instead, they've decided to elevate voices that promote ethnic cleansing and the destruction of Gaza.
The path to victory is to destroy anyone who deserves it in Gaza City. No one is uninvolved in Gaza City.
So instead of serving the Israeli public, the Israeli media has been part of this great crime of genocide for the past 2 years.
There has never been a shift in public opinion in places like the United States, in Germany, in the UK, against Israel and in favor of the Palestinians. Mass demonstrations that have the Israeli media talking about this massive wave of anti-Semitism that is apparently afflicting these places.
הם מנסים לעמעם את ההצלחה ואת העוצמה של המדינה היהודית. מכרסמת ושוחקת את ההישגים שלנו, ואנחנו צריכים לעשות כל מאמץ כדי שלא לאפשר לזה לקרות.
Even at the Emmys, people wearing ceasefire pins, Javier Bardem.
They're trying to dim the success of the Jewish state. These European leaders erode our achievements, and we need to make every effort to prevent this from happening.
Even at the Emmys, people wearing ceasefire pins, Javier Bardem wearing keffiyehs, brought significant Israeli responses within their media.
The movie industry has long been conscripted in favor of Palestinians.
Any small amount of Palestinian sympathy requires a massive response from Israeli commentators, and because it is so constant, it creates this atmosphere of fear and trepidation about what is ahead for the country.
Western media outlets that have often downplayed the protest movements that are now forcing more and more countries to try to bring Israel under control are still injecting elements of both sidesism into the news mix on a story about a genocide, drawing conclusions about what the recognition of a Palestinian state would mean for Hamas, the optics involved.
Giving Palestine statehood today, at this moment in this conflict, does give a propaganda win to Hamas.
This is a huge reward for Hamas.
It is a framework straight out of the global north, a journalistic mindset that produces mainstream output that has proven to be no match for the horrific viral videos traveling the world on our phones and feeds of Israeli war crimes. And the overdue recognition of Palestinian statehood, however performative, provides the proof of that.
The Western media has been woefully underreporting what's been going on in Gaza. The British press, the American press in particular. And this is part of the Western image towards Israel.
The Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
As the just compensation for the Holocaust in the Second World War. But as Israel began its war on Gaza, on the 2.2 million Palestinians who live there, almost all of them civilians, that slowly began to change, first of all, public opinion, and then following far behind, political opinion, that this is a different sort of country.
I think Western media outlets don't want to acknowledge that the world has changed. To acknowledge that the world has changed would be to question the entire Western liberal order. It would require questioning of the decades-long image of Israel that they have in their minds. It would require questioning of everything.
Sudan is now into year 3 of a civil war, one of the most underreported news stories out there. And the accounts that have been trickling out bear some disturbing similarities to what Israel has been inflicting on Palestinians in Gaza. Meenakshi Ravi is here with more.
Repeated displacement, engineered starvation, no safe passage for civilians, aid seekers attacked and killed, hospitals destroyed. It could be a report from Gaza, but all of this is happening in Sudan. Since April 2023, war between the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, and the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF, has ravaged the country. And currently, fighting is fiercest in the region of South Kordofan, while the RSF is intensifying a siege on the northwestern city of El Fasher. For more than a year, the RSF has blocked food and aid and has repeatedly bombed the city. News only trickles out of El Fasher. Sudan has faced frequent internet blackouts, and both the RSF and the SAF have repeatedly targeted domestic media. International media have also, for the most part, been locked out of the country, particularly from the RSF-held regions. One foreign journalist who has stayed with this story has been Yusra El-Bagir of UK's Sky News. This month, she and her team finally broke through to North Darfur after 2 years of trying. She heard graphic accounts from those able to escape El Fasher.
These camps are full of horror stories that have been hidden from the world. Thousands of people who fled El Fasher and lost loved ones to brutal violence and famine.
One more thing. As has been the case in Gaza, a key source of information has been the soldiers, RSF troops filming their atrocities and posting them online. Should the RSF ever end up in an international court on charges of war crimes, those videos could be used by prosecutors as evidence.
Thanks, Mina. Among the things that AI is transforming is the way that wars are being fought. Autonomous weapons systems and targeting that relies on artificial intelligence are accelerating attacks and often increasing the intensity of that violence as well. In Silicon Valley, tech CEOs often sell their wares by saying that this technology can revolutionize the future of warfare. And of all the companies involved in this AI-driven military tech boom, one stands out: Palantir. The data analytics firm has won billions of dollars in contracts with the Pentagon, the U.S. Immigration Enforcement Agency, ICE, and the Israeli military. Palantir's marketing department brands the company emphatically as America First. It makes no apologies for the need to kill people if that's what it takes to protect Western interests. The Listening Post's Tarek Nafa now on Palantir, the company selling a sleek, one-click solution to warfare.
Nice.
It's been designed to look like a trailer for a Hollywood blockbuster. A sophisticated AI-powered mission carried out across international borders.
Stand by.
When you watch the ads of data analytics firm Palantir, it's difficult to figure out exactly what the company does. Juan Sebastian Pinto used to produce adverts for Palantir. After he left, he criticized the company's work with the Israeli military.
We've seen over the last few years, automated warfare leads to immense amounts of civilian casualties, destruction, inaccuracy. So what you see here is Palantir kind of attempting to mask over that reality. And that is why they try to make these tools seem like microbait productions. After leaving Palantir, after watching automated warfare in the real world and its effects, how it kills not only warfighters but entire families, journalists, people who work at hospitals.
They consider a 20-to-1 kill count good. Like with their AI and Daddy's Home and all those AI generated targeting systems that they use. If they kill 20 civilians, but they get the one Hamas guy that they want to get, that's a win. That's a win for the IDF. That's the way this has been used.
Emergency workers. I look at this and it looks completely ridiculous.
Yeah, emergency
because
workers.
It is a completely fabricated image of what automated warfare really looks like.
These promotional videos deal very much in conjuring up a mood or producing a mood, or to use a term that is popular in that arena, to produce a vibe. And that vibe is dark, it elicits a sense of danger, so it isn't appealing to necessarily rational ways of thinking about Palantir's products, but it produces a way of tapping into a very, very effective emotion, and that is fear. And so it really occludes the fact that war is always horrific. This idea that wars are clean or they can be done in a way that no lives will be harmed, that is an illusion.
Yeah, like even like in that fake video that they just showed where there's like a massive wave of drones that come out of the naval ship. Where do you think those drones are going? They're like, if that was like real life, those drones are gonna be, each one's gonna have a bomb that can kill a person, and they're gonna go and try to kill somebody.
From the mass monitoring and surveillance of non-US citizens in America to the tools it is providing the Israeli military, Palantir's automated solutions are under scrutiny around the world. The company's co-founders, Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, have repeatedly expressed their unwavering support for Israel.
I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel because my bias is to defer to Israel.
Following the October 7 attacks, they met with Israel's president, Isaac Herzog, and agreed to what both parties called a strategic partnership. Palantir was contracted to supply technology that would help the Israeli military's war-related missions, though it has been vague about exactly what that means.
Palantir fundamentally does what a lot of data companies do. They collect data, they make that data readable, they derive analytics from that data, and then they help automate actions. A lot of companies do this, but what makes Palantir different is where they apply these systems and how they use them. And what you see in Gaza is Palantir's tools being used to support a state that is at war with managing its information, deriving insights from that information, everything that is involved in the execution of a target in modern warfare.
It is hard to definitively establish exactly how much the Israeli authorities depend on Palantir products for their military objectives in Gaza, but it is clear that Palantir is providing some pretty critical infrastructure, including AI targeting systems that they are using to draw up kill lists, and to impart violence and destruction and the complete decimation of civilian infrastructure in Gaza.
AIP leverages large language models to allow operators to quickly ask questions.
We have an entire suite of AI tools, including an LLM-based interface that allows for soldiers to make better targeting decisions. And knowing, even in Palantir's own words, that their relationship with Israel is long-standing and goes back to before the war makes us believe that Palantir is quite critical to the operations of the Israeli military.
Palantir got its start with an investment from In-Q-Tel, the CIA's venture capital firm. From the beginning, the company's founders tried to cultivate a mythology around their ability to use data and predictive models to find, identify, and eliminate America's enemies.
And what we do is we use what legal scholars call predicate-based research. So we would look at you, and then we would go out and say, oh, there's lots of different things in your life that may be indicative of someone involved in bad behavior.
After it went public in 2020, Palantir went on a PR.
I think we just talked about that over here. Oh no, Ken Clips. What if I had anti-Christianity behavior or extremism on gender, whatever that means? I wonder who's tracking that. Oh, that's the bird. Get out of here, bird.
Blitz, broadcasting ads at sports events, placing them in airports and on college campuses. Both Peter Thiel and Alex Karp have deeply entrenched themselves in Donald Trump's White House. As Palantir's CEO, Karp has styled himself as a deviant philosopher. He has a doctorate in neoclassical social theory and recently published The Technological Republic, a book marketed as a sweeping indictment of the West's culture of complacency.
This fucking douchebag.
One of the first things to realize about Peter Thiel and Alex Karp is that they do not come from a technical engineering background, but are both, deeply sociological thinkers. They understand the philosophy of language, information, and how those tools can be weaponized. Palantir as a workplace is a place where you're continually surrounded by narratives that indicate that you're exceptional, that you're working on the hardest problems, that you're helping the biggest institutions support democracy.
Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion.
The scammer who made up Nigerian princes.
Palantir's leadership has been particularly good at doing is to set up a sort of a clash of civilizations narrative in which the West is in peril.
It is in the service of our nation and with great thought and applying the ethics of war, which America does. Sometimes you have to kill the other side.
Alex Karp has been quite clear about his willingness to kill people in an effort to sustain Western civilization. That in fact he didn't really bat an eyelid at the fact that his tools were being used to kill Palestinians, even if they were terrorists in his words.
AI and your technology from Palantir kills Palestinians!
Mostly terrorists, that's true.
So these are really bellicose, overtly bellicose
What a fucking piece of shit.
that he deals in, and the fact that he's very much in the public eye suggests that this is not accidental, but that this is a part of Palantir's marketing campaign and branding, that both Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, and others in that environment functioning as what I like to call hype men, kind of defense influencers.
We're doing it, and I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
That makes such outrageous claims that the narrative slowly shifts. The narrative shifts towards, oh, well, yes, maybe the world is broken. Well, maybe, yes, we are in perpetual crisis. Maybe we need this urgency.
Both Alex Karp and Peter Thiel have become the poster boys for a wave of techno-militarism sweeping the US. Their embrace of the technology of war is part of a vibe shift in Silicon Valley, which has tech CEOs clamoring for Pentagon contracts and even enlisting in the military. Yet mainstream media coverage of figures like Karp and Thiel has too often fixated on their maverick personalities and business success.
That's right. Didn't they make
rather
them
than
like honorary
interrogating them
generals
on
or
the
something like that?
technologies
I
they
forget what it
built.
was.
You are absolutely phenomenal. Let's just start with today's event. You get a chance to strut your stuff. You're showing new tools, new capabilities, and a string of deals. Talk to us about that.
Palantir has in many ways perfected the ability of covering up what is a complex, bloody, violent reality, that is to say war, and in the case at hand, genocide, with a sleek startup type one-click solution aesthetic.
From the battlefield to the boardroom.
More scrutiny within the media, I think, could shift the narrative and the dial on how we see the Palantirs of the world, not just as benign startup, but that they are actually playing an active political role, even in things like genocide.
Finally, ever since the outset of the genocide in Gaza, TikTok has grown into a kind of safe haven for pro-Palestinian content. Influencers and activists get more reach there than on other platforms like YouTube and X. So it would be in Tel Aviv's interest if one of Israel's supporters were to wrestle control of the platform from its Chinese owners, then retrain the algorithm to scrub genocide from our site. Larry Ellison is the founder of Oracle, the tech company. He was recently named by the Jerusalem Post as one of 6 Jewish billionaires who have become the, quote, backbone of Israel's wartime funding. And he's now leading a group that's about to take a controlling stake in TikTok. Meanwhile, his son, David Ellison, is taking control of Paramount Global, which owns CBS News, and he's reportedly bringing in a pro...
Hold the fuck on. Hold the fuck on. Why is his face like that? Hold on. I do want to watch this, though. Paramount... October 7th... documentary? Is it series? I think it's a series. HBO. This movie. No, this is what I'm talking about. Red Alert. Yeah, Red Alert. Here it is. 2 days ago. What is this?
ראית שם פעם?
בעזה? כשהייתי ילד היינו ניסים לשם בעזה.
ולא פחדת?
אני לא מפחד.
I thought it was a Gal Gadot movie. Gal Gadot. Look, man, they were just having a party on the other side of the wall from where there's a fucking like open air prison, man. All right, they were just trying to party it up. That's all. That's that. Like, can you blame them? I had to hit him with the little snack bar. I got it, yeah.
קיבוץ?
افتح الشباك.
From the producer of Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill.
נורמלית, לאן שלחת אותו?
אני בא אלייך, לוחמים!
צועים אליי! בן שלי, ראית את הבן שלי?
אני פה, בחוץ הדלת.
הם יחזרו. אבו שאתה שם?
This looks cheap, yeah, it looks really bad.
Please, not the wallet.
The propaganda, man.
לא יכול להיות שם לבד.
وحياتك.
אני מחתן את הבת שלי עוד
The day that wouldn't end.
מי אתה בא לי בדרך?
אנחנו קוראים חיים שלי.
Come with us.
You took already one chance.
Come with me if you want to live.
بابا نلقى بيتها.
I'm sorry, airing when? Oh, okay. All episodes streaming. Got it, yeah. Only on Paramount Plus. Paramount getting cheap for the Ganda, yeah. The Hasbara, man, has reached all sorts of... They spent... What was it, 150 million that they invested into Hasbara? And this is what they're getting?
And he's reportedly bringing in a pro-Israel journalist, Barry Weiss, to steer CBS's editorial direction. So there you have it. Israel is losing the information war in Gaza, so it is shooting the messengers there, journalists. And
Literally.
One of its billionaire backers is set to silence pro-Palestinian forces online in America.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, like the... And it was taken down by some accounts making memes. This just looks cheap. It looks bad. I'm sure it's going to get review bombed and really just looks awful. It's a series? I can't believe it's a series. How long is this? 14 minutes. All right, we'll do that. Go back here. All right. Hold on. You finally become an ICE agent after being denied everywhere else. They should have got Taylor Sheridan of Yellowstone to direct. They should have gotten fucking Mr. Hankey from South Park to direct it, I guess. Oh, I gotta unmute, maybe? Yeah, I gotta unmute. Every time you guys send me a message, it plays on stream.
Back up, Eric! Everybody get back! You go back there, partner? Yeah. All right, everybody, let's just calm down.
Accurate. I can't tell the difference, honestly.
Everybody be easy. Okay? Hey, watch yourself. Watch. Hey, where are you from?
From
Washington, D.C. Now, with that accent, you wouldn't get the fuck on the ground. You good? You good? Is that my sniper? No, it's a bird. It's a bird. What happened to good boy Charlie ain't happening to me, not today. God, he keeps looking at me, Bob. He keeps looking.
No man for getting gun safety?
What are you looking at? Who are you talking to? Your wife. Your wife. Give me the phone. Let me talk to her. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Cleaning up the country. Back up, Eric.
I see a lot of John Barenthal in here. Yeah, anyway, speaking of the great value John Barenthal, I guess. Yeah, this is what's been happening pretty much.
A 79-year-old business owner says he was body slammed and pinned to the ground by federal agents during an immigration raid despite being a U.S. citizen. We're hearing more from him tonight as he files a $50 million lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security. Fox 11's Laura Diaz now with the details.
We need some more lawsuits, man.
Surveillance video shows agents first approaching the elderly man inside of his business 2 weeks ago. He says he attempted to ask them what they needed and pleaded with them to allow his workers to retrieve their papers proving they had a right to work in the U.S. Instead, he was thrown to the ground.
So you were pushed 2 times, one in the hallway, one in the hallway and one outside.
Undeterred, he followed the agents outside, where he says the encounter escalated, even though he was respectful. Rafi was now terrified, outnumbered, and outmuscled.
What can I do for you? That one of the guys came, grab me here, and 2 guys attacked me from the back, and they threw me on the ground.
At a news conference Thursday called by Shoehead's attorney announcing a $50 million civil rights claim, Rafi said that he suffered multiple broken ribs, damage to his brain from being slammed headfirst into the ground. He showed his bruises to reporters.
Damn!
Despite his protests that he's an American citizen, he says he was arrested, detained at a federal center for hours upon hours without medical attention.
Yeah, I don't think these guys know what they're doing, man. Yeah, rookie hour right here. All right, second thought had a video on inside black sites.
What if you got deported?
A surge in arrests of undocumented immigrants.
Immigration crackdown. Dramatic videos show federal agents detaining day laborers in Home Depot
I'm an American citizen. I was born here.
Authorities continue to make dozens of arrests every day as the federal surge
these
continues.
days, I guess.
At this point, Trump has deported tens of thousands of people a month, and it hasn't been the cleanest process. Giving ICE this much power means a bunch of Americans are being harassed, if not straight up detained. Kids who were born here, including a 4-year-old going through cancer treatment, have already been deported. And judging by what's happening with birthright citizenship and the whole homegrowns thing, it may not be right away, but someone you know, some native-born American adult, an acquaintance, a friend, a family member, will eventually be part of those deportations. Might even be you. So let's say you are deported.
He knows I'm watching.
Probably torture.
Fuck.
Before we get to the rest of the video, I want to take a quick second to do a shameless plug for our Patreon. If you're not interested or you're unable to support the channel, feel free to skip ahead to this timestamp. Right. Torture is what hundreds of immigrants face under Trump's administration right now. It's what happened to guys like Gilmar Abrego Garcia here at CCOT. But we'll get back to him in a minute. Because what happened to Gilmar isn't all that new. I want to talk about black sites. You've probably heard about black sites before. Secret prisons that formed a global network used by the CIA to detain and torture people at will and without trial. At their peak, we think there were about 100 of them in 30 to 50 countries, with around 17 of them on ships in international waters. Under Bush's presidency and the post-9/11 war on terror, ships, military bases, but also airports and abandoned schools in Asia, Europe, Africa, they all became black holes where people just disappeared off the map. No trial, no jury, no human rights.
Well, that's what they want to do here inside of the United States.
Damp, windowless rooms some simply never left. Often people picked up by accident on bad intel. People who had never committed any crime and had no affiliation with any terror groups. Innocents who went on to be tortured for, sometimes, years. Of these 100 or so black sites, the one we know the most about is probably Guantanamo Bay, a not-so-super-secret prison in Cuba run by the US and currently holding 15 people, only 2 of whom have actually been convicted of a crime.
What the fuck?
6 of them are technically already cleared for release, but at this point, they've all spent more than 15 years there. From what we understand, what happens at Gitmo is illustrative of what life in typical black sites might be like. And I'll warn you right now that if you don't want to hear about the details of what CIA torture can look like, maybe skip ahead to this time code or leave the room for a minute or two. It's horrifying. As you probably already know, people are subject to things like waterboarding, a kind of torture that feels like drowning, swallowing water without being able to breathe in until eventually you can't do anything but pass out or seize. At these sites, we also know of people being forced to be naked, or subjected to things like sometimes posed in embarrassing positions and covered in Prisoners have reported being drugged and shown tapes of their family members begging for help or being threatened with torture or even subjected to it themselves. Then there's electrocution and sleep deprivation, where detainees are tased in sensitive areas, forced to stand or get tied up in uncomfortable positions for days, weeks, even months at a time. People are slammed up against the wall, they're beaten up, and in particularly cruel cases, they are locked in cramped boxes while sounds of babies crying are played at full blast. We have some drawings of what this looks like from a man held at several black sites from 2003 to 2024, and even just these sketches are hard to stomach. But in 2004, thanks to the work of a few brave journalists, we got access to what this torture is like from the eyes of the torturers themselves when a cache of thousands of pictures and videos taken by US soldiers and officers at the Abu Ghraib site were leaked to the press. Thousands of pictures and videos of people being degraded, dehumanized, and inflicted intolerable pain for the giddy amusement of those behind the camera. None of this was legal. So how did it happen? The U.S. is party to a long list of treaties like the ICCPR.
Kind of weird how like these not legal things that the United States does, you just keep doing them.
Which forbids due process violations like these and, quote, torture and cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment or punishment under any circumstances, end quote. We've also signed on to the Convention Against Torture, which is similarly explicit that, quote, no exceptional circumstances whatsoever, including war or the threat of war, may be invoked to justify torture. You probably knew this already, but the Geneva Convention, which the US has also signed on to, also explicitly states that POWs need to be treated humanely at all times. Whatever, that's international law. It's a joke. But what about domestic law?
International
Both the 8th and 14th Amendments forbid cruel and inhumane punishment and violations of due process. The federal anti-torture statute of '94 extends U.S. federal jurisdiction over acts of torture committed abroad. The War Crimes Act of '96 criminalizes grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions if either the victim or the perpetrator is a U.S. national or a member of the armed forces. And same thing again, the Detainee Treatment Act of 2005 forbids cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment of any person in U.S. custody, meaning that to torture anyone, like the US and the CIA have for decades, is to break a long list of laws and a whole lot of common sense and basic human decency.
It's almost
These
like those laws don't mean
are
jack
war
shit.
crimes at both the international and domestic level. To try to circumvent these laws, those kidnapped by US intelligence were labeled unlawful enemy combatants, instead of the Geneva-protected prisoners of war. And the cells they were held in were purposely not on US soil, per se. The hope was that this could give US officials some leeway, or at least pin the blame on some other country if necessary. But make no mistake, this was illegal, US-led, White House and Congress approved, and most importantly, completely useless. Torture, like the kind practiced at all these black sites, never yields anything. We've known this for a long time.
U.S. embassies are on high alert as we learn the details of the CIA's harsh interrogation techniques after the 9/11 attacks. The Senate just released the so-called torture report.
Both the Senate's report on the CIA's torture program released in 2014 and the CIA's own reports from before 2001 admit torture is and always has been useless. Even using all the kinds of torture we've mentioned, not once did any of it provide any useful intelligence. Worse, in every case that the CIA tried to defend the use of what they called enhanced interrogation techniques, the Senate report found that the intelligence obtained had already come from other sources. In other words, they already had what they needed. They just wouldn't stop. But no one's surprised, right? Think about being tortured for a second. Obviously, you would do and say anything to make it stop. And if you had no information to give, as was the case for countless innocent people detained at these black sites, or if you told them something they already knew, you would have to lie until the guy torturing you felt satisfied. Torture was always going to be worthless. But back to the present. This isn't just a history lesson. These practices by the CIA laid the groundwork for where we are today. That might sound surprising because in 2009, Obama issued an executive order to end US secret detention and torture. But of course that doesn't mean it stopped. 2 years after that executive order, people detained by the US in Afghanistan were still being secretly kidnapped and tortured, forced to strip, held in solitary, and refused access to either a court or legal counsel. The Obama admin admitted as much, and in 2016, BuzzFeed revealed that that admission wasn't the full story. 58 other people had also been secretly detained and then completely cut off from all communication with anyone other than US guards.
Thanks,
the
Obama.
US called this separation. And for some, separation meant going without any human contact at all for up to 30 days at a time.
What the
while stuck in tiny, rancid cells. But what really got us to where we are today is what came next. To continue torturing people in the wake of Obama's executive order, American intelligence found that it was often easiest to simply hand over prisoners to whoever. For example, prisoners captured by US forces, who were no longer allowed to torture people themselves, were simply thrown into Afghan detention centers. At these detention sites, torture looked exactly the same. Electric shocks, hanging by the wrists, beatings, toenail pulling, and genital abuse. And if you were wondering who these people willing to carry out torture on the US's behalf were, this whole time, the CIA had continued arming and training paramilitary forces in countries like Afghanistan, knowing full well they would go on to detain, disappear, and execute people without trial where the US wouldn't. For all these crimes, the Obama admin investigated over 100 cases of torture. No one was charged. Even in a case where CIA officials deliberately destroyed nearly 100 tapes of direct video evidence of torture, the Obama admin refused to charge, much less convict, anyone. And that's knowing that they only investigated cases in which interrogators went beyond their legal authorizations from Washington in their use of enhanced interrogation techniques, which ignores the fact that enhanced interrogation techniques, authorized or not, were always illegal. Fast forward to today. Abrego Garcia was one of 237 men sent to CICOT earlier this year. At CICOT, an El Salvadorian prison billed as a terrorism confinement center, torture looks much the same as it has these past 25 years. Inmates' heads are shaved when they arrive, they're handcuffed and stuffed into already overcrowded cells, they're beaten for days at a time with wooden batons, woken up at 4 a.m., denied medical care and showers, shot with rubber bullets, forced to kneel for hours until they pass out, sexually assaulted, filmed by guards delighting in their pain, and as always, denied access to legal counsel or any semblance of due process. Some of these men have now been released, and we now know that their only crime seems to have simply been having tattoos near an ICE agent trying desperately to fill Trump's quota of 3,000 deportations a day. They never had a trial, not even a cursory check. They simply looked deportable, and that was enough. Enough for them to be locked in with guards ready to continue a quarter-century of unpunished war crimes. And for how horrifying CICOT is, it's only the first of these new ICE black sites. The U.S. Foreign Affairs Act of '98 forbids the U.S. from deporting people somewhere they might face torture. But already, the Trump admin has successfully begged the Supreme Court to ignore that rule. They found loopholes, and they're in talks with over 64 countries willing to become these new global gulags.
Wow.
Already, 13 of them have accepted deported immigrants. 12 of those 13 have already been found by the State Department to have significant human rights abuses. And 58 of the total 64 have had that same report card. To give you an idea, one of these countries, South Sudan, is on a level 4 travel advisory from the State Department, meaning Americans who want to travel there are recommended to draft a will, establish a proof of life protocol with family members, and leave DNA samples with their primary care provider. What's happening to the 8 men already deported there? We have no idea. Tom Homan says they're free, living life in South Sudan, but we don't actually know that. For weeks now, they've been completely unreachable by their families and lawyers. And now we're being told explicitly who's next. Homegrowns. What an administration that doesn't care for due process or even proper IDing, but has time and again sent the National Guard on its own people and given billions to ICE considers a homegrown is up for debate. But what we know for sure is that they do not care what happens to you once you get stamped with that label. If the last 25 years have shown you that you can do anything you want to an unlawful enemy combatant, what's to stop you from making life hell for someone you barely consider human?
I'll lose my mind, man. I don't know, dude. I'm highly concerned. This video combined with this anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for overthrow of the United States, extremism on migration, like We're fucking cooked, man. All of us, everybody, everybody and anybody. Fucking shit, dude. And like Kilmar, they're deporting Kilmar right now, man. Just because they say they deported somebody to a country and they put them there, it doesn't mean that they're free. It doesn't mean that they're out there walking around like Holman fucking claims that they're just there on vacation or whatever. More than likely, this is what's gonna happen.
Confinement center. Torture looks much the same as it has these past 25 years. Inmates' heads are
they shave their heads, so you feel a loss of identity. With who you are and who you were. They did the same things to the slaves in the North Atlantic trade. It's the exact same thing that happened there. We're repeating history. Are we the baddies? I feel like we're the baddies. I feel like, we're all of us are in severe danger here. Alright, that's all I got for tonight, man. Yeah, I'm kind of depressed right now. Alright, well, we'll do better news tomorrow. We'll have the good news tomorrow. Tomorrow night. So, alright. Yeah, I'll stop it there, and I'll see you later. Thank you.